Edward Newgate, more commonly known as Whitebeard, was a cheerful and carefree person during his younger years, proud to commanding his own ship and becoming known as Whitebeard. Due to being an orphan who grew up in poverty, Newgate had a strong desire for a family, which he saw as the greatest treasure one could ever have. He is still to this day famous for his appearance in War at Marineford, which we'll discuss later in the video. Monkey D. Garp is an extremely famous and powerful Marine Vice Admiral. He is the father of Monkey D. Dragon, the paternal grandfather of Monkey D. Luffy, and the adoptive grandfather of Patragus D. Ace. He was responsible for overseeing Ace's birth and raising a young Luffy, before entrusting them both to the Eden family. Garp is one of the major figures along with Kong, Sengoku, Shiki, Silver's Rayleigh, and Whitebeard, from the times when Gold D. Roger was still alive. Garp was offered the rank of admiral several times throughout his career, but he refused the offer of promotion every single time. He is also the former mentor of Kuzan. Let's first talk about durability. Whitebeard's physical resistance and pain tolerance were tremendous. He was able to keep fighting despite the number of life-threatening injuries he sustained, which included part of his head being burned off, which proves that Whitebeard possessed enormous amount of stamina, durability, and endurance. No matter how much damage he took throughout the battle, Whitebeard continued to press forward and fight, only stopping once because of the Blackbeard pirates collectively shot and brutally stabbed him to death at point-blank range. During the Summit War, Whitebeard sustained 267 sword wounds, 152 gunshots, and 46 wounds from the cannonballs, and got a portion of his head blasted off, resulting in 465 injuries in total. In addition, he received Kuzan's laser beams and 2 Akainu's magma blasts. Whitebeard also received a brutal assault from the Blackbeard pirates. However, even after taking so much damage in his weakened state, he died standing. Garp has tremendous level of durability and tolerance to pain, as seen when he was slashed by Captain Morgan's axe hand, only to recover only few seconds later, with no obvious pain and apparently oblivious to the fact that he got struck at all. In fact, when informed by one of the Marines that he was nearly killed, he mistook this for one of his men being killed. It was only when he saw what the wound did, he realized what happened. And as he fell asleep before being attacked, he was able to get back on his feet after allowing himself to be punched by Luffy in gear to point-blank range without losing consciousness, and was still able to fight the Blackbeard pirates along with Sengoku. Well, this was a tough one, but for durability, I will give Whitebeard a point. Next up is speed. While we don't have much information about how fast Whitebeard is, but despite his gigantic size, Whitebeard could move at considerable speeds, having appeared behind Akainu to attack him in a matter of seconds with a ladder, who was on his way to kill Luffy, only realizing it once his men yelled at him to watch out. Same case with Monkey D. Garp, we don't have much information, but Garp is extremely fast and agile, as he managed to bypass all of the Straw Hats in order to get to the sleeping Luffy. He is also fast enough to grab Kuzan, a former Marine Admiral, by the face and slam him to the ground before he managed to defend himself. For the speed, I will easily give Whitebeard a point, because of how fast he was in Marineford Wars. Next up is pure physical strength. Whitebeard was given the title of the strongest man in the world for his physical power, which is far superior to even a giant. During the Summit War of Marineford, Whitebeard completely overpowered vast numbers of strong Marine officers and giants with tremendous physical might, such as Vice Admiral Lance, with only one hand and supplemented by his double foot powers. Whitebeard blocked a two-handed downward swing from the giant Vice Admiral John Giant with only one hand on his naginata, extinguished the flames of one of Akainu's molten rocks with just a single breath, and prevented a massive battleship from advancing using only one hand. He could also jump to great heights to attack large opponents, such as John Giant. In his prime, Newgate was capable of fighting Roger to a standstill in a battle that lasted 3 days and 3 nights. Garb possesses vast levels of physical strength that is considered legendary. At his best, he had monstrous punching power at his disposal. He claimed to have crushed 8 mountains during his training to face Qin Zhao. This is proven when he was able to dent Qin Zhao's gorilla head, which was powerful enough to split the immensely hard-iced continent in two with relative ease. It is evident that Whitebeard respects Garb's strength, as he mentioned him during his talk with Shanks. Even in old age, Garb still remains powerful, being able to launch iron balls like baseballs at higher velocities than if they were fired from a real cannon, break through brick walls and cannon supports with just his fist, and carry and throw a giant ball bigger than the Thousand Sunny. During the Summit War at Marineford, it can be seen that he can defeat a mythical Zoan like Marco with a single blow. And in the anime, Garb took down Jesus Burgos, a master fighter with a titanic physical strength effortlessly. In physical strength, Garb easily takes the point. Even Whitebeard has mentioned him once, so it's easy to say that Garb is physically way too strong compared to Whitebeard. Now let's talk about weapons. Whitebeard fought with a heavy Bicentennial and was immensely skilled with it. The weapon size is massive, fitting that to its owner, with a stripped pole ending in a spherical edge and a curved, large blade attached to the pole via a golden part, decorated by what looks like a sea snake, with a thin part of it protruding on the blade itself. With Whitebeard's immense skills and powers, this Bicentennial was strong enough to clash with the Shanks saber, which caused the clouds to split. Whitebeard usually employed this Bicentennial using both of his hands, but was also seen capable of using it with just one hand. Most of the time he kept it in his right hand, and sometimes he was seen planting its blade in the ground in order to use both of his hands freely for his Devil Fruit. The Bicentennial could be used in conjunction with the Devil Fruit and Bososhoku Haki to increase the already great damage he can inflict, as well as to neutralize any potential Devil Fruit defense his opponents may offer. Garb uses his weapons differently. He throws cannonballs with his bare hands. The cannonballs soar much faster than when they were fired from a cannon, due to Garb's immense physical strength. He also wields a giant iron ball mounted on a chain, which dwarfs the size of his own marine battleship. Due to Garb's superhuman strength, he can throw them like a baseball, and the impacts are more powerful when they were fired from an actual cannon. He can also throw 1,000 iron cannonballs at enemy ship. The cannonballs are supplied by a conveyor belt on either side of him. For weapons, it was difficult, but I will give this point to Whitebeard, just because of the vast techniques that he can use in order to utilize his weapon in a more effective manner. Our last category is abilities. Whitebeard ate the Gorogoro no Mi, a Paramecia-type Devil Fruit that made him a Quake Man, and was considered the strongest Devil Fruit within the Paramecia class. According to Sengoku, Whitebeard had the power to destroy the world. With the power of this Devil Fruit, Whitebeard was able to create powerful shockwaves by shattering the air like glass. These shockwaves then would be redirected into the ground, resulting in earthquakes, and if under the seafloor, tsunamis. He has been shown to create such quakes even in the air, rendering airborne attacks ineffective. He could also use these shockwaves to attack enemies, with either widespread or specific targets. His powers also allowed him to create a quake bubble around his hand or Bicentennial to increase the power of an attack and manipulate the air with his hands to tilt the environment around him. He has also been seen to use this Bicentennial to slash the air, which caused a massive explosion and the collapse of a tower in Marineford War. Whitebeard also had all 3 Hakis. Let's talk about them. Whitebeard possessed immense mastery in the usage of Haoshoku Haki. During his initial encounter with Kozuki Oden 30 years ago, their sudden clash created a notable effect similar to lightning and released a large burst. His Haoshoku Haki was displayed to a far greater extent against his longtime rival Goldie Roger, as the clashing Haoshoku Haki cracked the air, creating an effect akin to lightning and generating a shockwave that blew back everyone and everything on and near the island. Whitebeard was an immensely skilled user of Bososhoku Haki. which he could imbue his weapon with. 2 decades ago, in his prime, he was shown clashing evenly with the samurai Kozoku Oden, who was a powerful Bososhoku Haki user in his own right. Whitebeard could also utilize the advanced technique of projecting Haki out from his blade. This was shown during his fight with Roger, where the duo's weapon met in a powerful clash even without making any contact. Lastly, Whitebeard was also a really good user of Kenbunchoku Haki. It was shown 30 years prior after both he and the Whitebeard pirates shipwrecked in Wano, as he could sense Oden coming from vast distance towards them, and his overall strength. He was even able to sense and counter Ace when he was still new on his ship and was attempting to kill him. In the Bay of Marineford, he predicted Crocodile's attack but did not move, knowing that Luffy would block it. However, due to both his age and worsening health, he failed to predict Squad's betrayal and thus got injured, something which, according to Marco, was totally unexpected from the Emperor. Just like Whitebeard, Garp also possesses all 3 types of Hakis. He is among the small handful of users who are capable of using the advanced application of infusing his Haoshoku Haki into parts of his body or objects, as signified by the thin streams of black lightning emanating from his fist. He can also use his Haoshoku Haki defensively, protecting himself from the deep freezing effect of Kuzan's ice ball before breaking out of it with ease. Garp is an immensely skilled user of Bososhoku Haki, being able to injure Luffy several times, bypassing his rubber body. By hardening his fist, Garp was able to counter and even crush Chinjao's Bososhoku Haki enhanced drill-shaped head 30 years ago, proving his superior mastery compared to Chinjao, who was himself a powerful Bososhoku Haki user. During the Summit War of Marineford, he managed to punch and hurt Marco, despite Marco being in his Phoenix form. He can also utilize the advanced application of emitting Bososhoku Haki. Garp's Kenbunchoku Haki skills were greater than most of the Kenbunchoku Haki users in the series, as he could sense that Kuzan was going to freeze Hibari, where other Kenbunchoku Haki users could not even sense him. When Kobe awakened Kenbunchoku Haki, Dr. Fishbone recommended that he should ask Garp how to master it, suggesting Garp has enough expertise in it to mentor others. These are a few techniques that Garp can use using his Haki. First up is Galaxy Impact. Garp infuses his fist with Bososhoku Haki and Haoshoku Haki, and then delivers a massively powerful punch with shockwaves that encompass an enormous radius. This was first seen against the Blackbeard pirates. Next up is Blue Hole. After hardening his hand with Bososhoku Haki and infusing it with Haoshoku Haki, Garp grabs an opponent by the face and slams them downwards, creating a massively deep hole in the ground as they fall. This was first seen used against Kuzan. Last one is called the Fist of Love, a gag technique, which is a simple but powerful punch to strike Luffy on his head. He had been shown to have used this on Ace during the childhood as well. So when it comes to abilities, I will easily give Whitebeard a point, mainly because he uses both Haki and also has a devil fruit. So the winner is Whitebeard. Thank you for watching the video. If you liked the video, please do subscribe my channel to support me.